So my company focuses on creating solutions for places that you don't have good coverage. And by far, the largest number of people who don't have good coverage live in rural areas. But it's not just rural areas in Africa and India and other developing countries. It's also a big problem in the United States. We cover 98% of the population, but only 70% of the land area. And in fact, our first network under this new concept was built in the US, and we're planning our first launch in Africa here in Rwanda. Very quickly, the fundamental problem in rural is a very simple financial one. The revenue in rural is lower. The average revenue per user is $1 or less, and they're more spread out, so you don't get as much revenue per site. And the costs of running the network are actually higher because in rural areas, especially in Africa and India, you don't have reliable power, so you have to run off diesel, and the diesel is very expensive. So while people complain about lack of rural coverage, it's really this economic problem of, gee, your revenue is lower than your expenses, so it's very hard to justify building. So we attack that problem by combining innovative technology with an innovative business model in 3 aspects. 1, we build a wholesale wireless network. So this means we build a network, but we don't have subscribers. In the US, 9 carriers use our network, and their subscribers seamlessly get on the network. Here in Rwanda, all 3 carriers can utilize the network. The second is that in order to eliminate the cost of diesel, let alone the security environmental problems of diesel, we had to invent a new kind of cellular base station that is low power. And we have the world's lowest power cellular base station, which consumes only 50 watts of power. So it's like a dim light bulb. And we ran a trial in Zambia for an entire year on solar and battery. And then the third and final innovation is probably the most unique. It stems from the observation that when you try to build rural, a lot of people think we need to build really tall, high-power sites to cover the most area because we need to get as many people in coverage as we can. But they cover a lot of areas where people aren't. And we said, well, let's build a network that covers where people live, work, and commute. And it turns out, now this is true in the United States, in Zambia, in Nepal, and I'm pretty sure here in Rwanda as well, that over 90% of the homes and businesses are within 1 to 2 kilometers of a road. Not necessarily a highway, but some road. So that says, wait, we could cover rural by covering the roads in a kilometer on either side of it. And that's exactly what we do. So we can cover rural areas with small cells rather than big high-power towers. And that leads to a different network architecture that's cheaper, lower power, and lower cost. And so with those 3 innovations, we can actually make rural coverage profitable for the operators, which will allow us, as the minister said this morning, not only to address the next billion, but the last billion as well.